Welcome to another Palantir video. I gave you information on the company before the IPO, shared clips of CEO Alex Karp explaining the company, and was one of the first to tell you that ARK Invest had just purchased tens of thousands of shares of PLTR earlier this month. Today, I'm going to take my analysis of Palantir a step further, cover the recent analyst upgrades on the company, and share my thoughts on how the stock is performing so far. But first, here's a summary on the business if you are unsure or in case if you've never heard of them before, since I've gotten a few comments asking me to explain what the company actually does. To adequately explain Palantir, I'm going to turn to their website, which, I must say, is very well put together. I know that means nothing in the general scheme of the success of a business, but presentation is not something to be ignored. And what I immediately noticed when visiting the site for the first time was a sense of boldness and decisiveness, which are essential characteristics for a strong company. Right away, we see the tagline, quote, "Take what you need, build on what you have, in hours," end quote. Basically, they're showing that their technology, that which is a product, or, in some cases, a service, is adaptable to whatever project a said business is working on. Then we get the header, power real-time decisions. They go on to say, quote, "Institutions have the data they need to make the best decisions for safety, stability, and prosperity. But too often their data is fragmented and locked in silos. The people on the front lines of our most important problems don't have the information they need when they need it most." At Palantir, we build software that lets organizations integrate their data, their decisions, and their operations into one platform. Our software empowers entire organizations to answer complex questions quickly by bringing the right data to the right people who need it, end quote. That should give you a sense right there. And this broad ambition might be what is throwing some people off when they are confused as to what Palantir is all about. They might be just thinking of PLTR as a government contractor, which I talk more about in previous videos, when, in fact, they are going to eventually unlock big data and AI in a way that has never been done before, nevertheless at the scope that Palantir is aiming to be at, as aspirationally one of the best and biggest software companies in the world.
We are going to be the most important software company in the world, and I think you'll find in a number of years that there will be a consensus Palantir is a truly special software company that is arguably the most important software company in the world.
I'll talk about growth rate later on with the analyst upgrades, but stick with me as I break down this company's core competencies. Oh, but quickly before that, let me mention this section called Protect Privacy. I've gotten dozens of comments calling this company, quote, unethical, a, quote, breach of privacy, quote, a company who tracks everyone no matter what they do, and a means of, quote, abolishing privacy and introducing a dictator. Now, I know I can get these kinds of comments on any video I do for any company, and I understand how privacy has been top of mind in recent times, considering how fast technology has taken over our lives. And I'll be the first to say how important digital privacy is, believe me. But that being said, where is this kind of dialogue coming from? Really, that's a question I do not understand. As far as I know, Palantir, as a formerly private company, has never had a serious security hack or been corruptly selling data at any point in their existence. I did some digging, and the only thing I could come up with was a report from October of 2015, in which Palantir had a firm examine their own security system. I'll attach the article if you want to read it. Here's a quote. "The findings are old and have long since been resolved," Lisa Gordon, head of media relations for the last 12 years, said in a response statement. "Our systems and our customers' information were never at risk. As part of our best practices, we conduct regular reviews and tests of our systems like every other technology company does." That's the worst I could find. Although it's certainly not good to find flaws in your system, it's definitely important to patch those flaws, and virtually every company is vulnerable to hacks in one way or another. That's just the world we live in. And in recent years, hired hacker teams have been successful in getting deep inside of various companies' networks and finding security flaws. Palantir doing such an exercise shows that it wanted to identify and repair any existing flaws. The 2015 report notes strength in Palantir's defenses with a quote, excellent response by its security staff. Remember that these are some of the smartest people in the technology industry, and while you are free to believe that they are somehow evil, I see them dedicating themselves to a company with a mission of nothing but ending terrorism. Also, they are specialists in their field, of likely computer science or computer engineering of some kind, so if anyone were to be able to defend against attacks, they certainly would be able to. I'll leave another link to their privacy statement in the description below. One more quote on the topic. Quote, Palantir was founded on the conviction that it's essential to preserve fundamental principles of privacy and civil liberties while using data. From our roots in counterterrorism to our current work spanning the public, private, and nonprofit sectors, we've delivered software that incorporates principles of privacy by design. End quote. Alright, I hope that clears up my thoughts on the whole privacy issue. It's definitely a problem, especially when dealing with the scale of big data such as Palantir is. However, I don't see anything to be overly concerned about just yet. Of course, I'll be sure to keep you updated on privacy as it relates to Palantir with any new developments. Let's move on to the products, as I teased earlier. This page says that Palantir builds, quote, data fusion platforms for integrating, managing, and securing any kinds of data at massive scale. On top of these platforms, we layer applications for fully interactive, human-driven, and machine-assisted analysis. The following are Palantir's main platforms, those which I have already covered previously. Palantir Gotham, to integrate, manage, secure, and analyze all of your enterprise data. Palantir Foundry, to amplify and extend the power of data integration. And Palantir Apollo, to power software as a service in places where no software as a service has gone before. If you want a deep dive into each of those three pillars in individual videos, drop a like. For now though, given that I've just outlined the company and what they do, I'm going to move on to how the stock has been performing since the IPO and more recently in this macro environment. Now that the early IPO period for Palantir is over, we are beginning to see analysts pick a price on the stock. So I'm going to list the ratings. Morgan Stanley analyst Keith Weiss initiated coverage of Palantir with an overweight rating and a $13 price target. Credit Suisse analyst Brad Zelnick initiated coverage of Palantir with a neutral rating and an $11 price target, and Goldman Sachs analyst Christopher Merwin initiated coverage with a neutral rating and a $10 price target. In Morgan Stanley's initiation note, Keith Weiss wrote that Palantir's Gotham and Foundry platforms connect, integrate, and organize data hidden within disparate legacy systems to make better decisions, drive better outcomes, and build better applications. The near-term opportunity is likely limited to the largest government agencies and commercial enterprises globally, given the large-scale nature of the company's developments, the analyst said. Growth has inflected a $1 billion revenue run rate as recent court decisions have changed the way pre-packaged software is bought by the federal government, turning in Palantir's favor, he continued on. The introduction of the Apollo continuous delivery platform has reduced the time and number of engineers needed to install, deploy, and manage the consumer-facing platform, Weiss said. This has helped margins ramp rapidly over the last year, shifting the company's positioning more towards software from being a consulting services firm, the analyst said. Despite this unique combination of accelerating revenue growth and quickly expanding margins, Palantir shares are trading at a discount to peers, he said. Quote, as such, we see the level of discount to peers implied by current trading as too severe, creating an attractive risk-reward situation. Morgan Stanley sees room for Palantir to sustain top-line momentum, particularly in the government segment. Success with commercial enterprises could represent upside to the estimates, the analyst said. Quote, we also see a path to software-like long-term margins in excess of 35% as growth slows to around 11%. Credit Suisse wants more evidence of growth, however, by saying that Palantir's technology and differentiation are uniquely defined by their use cases, such as integrating cross-agency intelligence data to help undercover and catch terrorists and save soldiers' lives by identifying areas where IEDs may be planted, Zelnick said in his initiation note. Palantir has many high-value applications across many high-value industries in this private sector, the analyst said. Palantir puts its market opportunity at $119 billion, with top-down estimates validating a large and growing market, he said. Analytics are a top spending priority, second only to security, Zelnick said. On the flip side, a lack of disclosures around historical trends as well as KPIs reduce confidence around the sustainability of growth and profitability, the analyst noted. Credit Suisse said it awaits more evidence of the company's ability to diversify its customer base and grow profitability. For Goldman, Merwin said in an initiation note that Palantir has found its best fit in the US government, offering solutions where none were available before to aid in intelligence, counterterrorism, and military readiness. Palantir's positioning in the commercial space will be challenged given the proliferation of cloud-native database and BI tools, the analyst said. Quote, "We have been encouraged to see contribution margins surge to 53% in FY 20E from 21% in FY fiscal year 2019. Largely due to a reduction in implementation times and operating cost reductions. Limited visibility into future pipeline conversion, Palantir will likely trade at a discounted multiple relative to comparable growth peers, according to Goldman." So I hope that breakdown was helpful, just giving a sense of what the Palantir analysts are thinking so far. We've got the bullish side, we've got the more neutral side, and those that are just waiting to see how the company will continue to perform. If you're interested, here's the chart for current analyst targets. The 4 reports with price targets average to a share price of $11.75. That is approximately a 15% increase from today's value of about $10.25 per share. And before I continue, leave a comment if you would like to see a preview of what is to come for Palantir's Q3 earnings call in mid-November. On that note, now that we have the first conference call coming up, that's a big event for shareholders and investors to look forward to. Palantir Investor Relations announced on October 29th that results for its third quarter will be released on Thursday, November 12th, 2020, after the close of the US markets. The company will host a conference call to discuss its results at 3 p.m. Mountain Time or 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Note that a live webcast will be available at investors.palantir.com. Would you perhaps be interested in a live stream of the earnings call? Leave a comment and I could arrange for that on this channel as a way to experience the call with the live chat active. Again, let me know. And finally, for my thoughts on the stock's recent performance. The macro environment is out of control. That much is clear. There's so much going on right now. In the US, we are seeing record cases and have the presidential election next week. The broader market has been on the decline, and there is no way to say how long that will last. However, considering Palantir went as low as $8.90, and we are currently sitting at 15% higher than that, I'd say the newly public stock is holding up quite well. Remember that the stock popped on opening day all the way up to $11.41, then had a sharp sell-off below $9, made a strong recovery, and, despite extreme volatility, is still above $10 for this final week of October. Now, I don't give financial advice, but you are always free to reason along with me. I know many of you chose to take positions when I made my first videos about Palantir when the stock was still in the low to mid 9s, so congrats to you for picking up double-digit gains. But if you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you know that I am all about investing in the future, not in the short term. Quite frankly, I don't care too much about where my positions go in the near term, since I know I'll be holding for years. If you have enough conviction, in my opinion, and yes, this is something you need to decide for yourself, then you should have no problem taking a bigger stake in any company, especially one like Palantir, given a sudden drop from $11 to $10, with the earnings call coming up and the analysts becoming more bullish. We could see sub 10 again, but that would only increase the potential return on investment for this stock. Do you own Palantir? Are you going to wait and see how the macro environment trading plays out going forward? Did you take some off the table as the stock went above $11? Leave it all in the comments. Now hit like if this video and all of my research was helpful to you, and hit subscribe for my upcoming Palantir Q3 earnings preview report. Until then, peace.